Hello, we are Wade and Leta. We are artists and designers based in New York City, and we are here today with Design Milk TV Milkshake.
We kind of do a bit of everything. We're designers, we're art directors, we're sculptors, we're, I guess, artists in a way. But yeah, we kind of do everything, and today we're here to answer a couple of questions that we pick out of a hat.
So here's our handy dandy hat. I'm gonna mix this up a little bit. You want to do the honors of choosing the first one?
Lita, you have said my lifelong pursuit is to wear architecture, not clothes. Can you tell us about that?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Yes, I think that, I don't know, ultimately in the work that we do, the things that we love, I want to be fully immersed in everything. I want to live the work, I want to wear the work, I want to constantly be inspired by the work. So I also want to wear things that are created by people that I'm inspired by and people that I admire. And so that's very much why I think it's, for me, I find so much connection and inspiration from wearing silhouettes that are really intriguing, really complicated. Oftentimes they're black, sometimes the color is really incredible. Either the shape, either the color, either the pattern. I want to wear something that's going to make me feel like I am a part of a painting, a part of a building, a part of design in some aspect.
Or a superhero.
Or a superhero, of course. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Time for you to choose.
Okay. You want to mix up the hat for me?
No, time for you to choose.
All right.
1 for 1.
Nothing. All right. You met on OkCupid. Do you remember what drew you to each other's profiles and any tips for love apps?
Well, I'm not sure we'll have too many tips, but I think OkCupid was a much simpler app to what's around now. But so it was simple as Brooklyn, graphic designer.
Well, okay. I think it's important to be really articulate and answer questions extensively on these apps because, okay, this is very reflective of our personalities because Wade had like no information on his profile. It was just male. I don't know how old you were at the time.
No,
you were a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
But we were like a 73% match maybe, and there were people on there that I had matched like 99.9%. But I answered questions really extensively, and I think you did like 30% of them.
I think it was as simple as understanding where she was coming from. And in my message to her, I made her aware that I was aware of all of the references she had put in and sort of the world that she was working within. And I think that was all it needed to be.
I mean, ultimately, I thought you were really cute.
Great.
you had some cute pictures, and I was like, ooh, he looks handsome.
Success.
Any other tips, or you think that's...
Just be honest.
Yeah.
And I think it's too easy to jump around too much.
I mean, don't be creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't be a dirtbag.
It's like starting a casual conversation with somebody. You're not going to say like, I like your legs. Like you're not going to walk up to somebody on the street and just say that to them.
Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple and don't be a dirtbag. I think is pretty much all we have to say.
Okay, am I picking it?
No.
Oh, you're picking. Sorry, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Your scale is getting bigger. How big is big enough? And how big do you want to go with your work?
The bigger the better. I think we're gonna go as big as we possibly can. I think that with each project, it's kind of a stepping stone. Like we keep on trying to test the limits of the materials that we're working with as well. And seeing often like we're limited by the space that we're building our projects in, or we're limited by the materials. And so each project is a learning process.
Yeah, and I think big projects don't necessarily have to be better than smaller projects. I think that at times the smaller ones are more interesting in a way, in how they question sort of what you're trying to get from the brief, what the client's trying to get from the brief. That said, is too big? Is there something that's too big? I would say no, and we want to keep going bigger and bigger.
Indoors, outdoors.
Trying to get to a playground as our end, or
that's
some big field of stuff. I don't know what it is, but I mean,
stepping stone.
we can keep it abstract at the moment. Your turn, Lita.
Okay.
We're almost there.
Wait, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
there's nothing in there.
Yeah, that's how these work.
Okay.
You got to fake you out.
All right. How would you describe your approach to color? Is it intuitive and organic, or rigorously tested and planned? Oh, I love these questions.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a question. No, you have to answer this one.
Okay, great.
Right? I answered the last one.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's been a collaboration.
Yeah.
Just
true.
like our studio.
Well, it's Saturday, so I guess our mindset is different. But lead the way, Lita.
Alrighty. So describing our approach to color. So much of it is intuitive, but we do have a few rules that we like to play by, and they're very temperature based. So for us, we like working in palettes that are, 4, 5, 6 colors, and we like them to be evenly balanced. And by evenly balanced, we say it needs to be a mix of hot colors, cold colors, light colors, and dark colors. And so when we have something that fits each of these categories, we think that it's a really great holistic palette. Essentially, we're trying to create really intense vibrations. And, it doesn't work for everybody, but for us, we think that when we can create something that feels a little bit jarring, can play a little bit of visual trickery, that's really what we're going for.
Yeah, and ultimately I think what we're trying to do is within each, whether it's a composition or a sculpture, whatever it is, we want there to be a moment where someone recognizes a different color palette kind of every time, or a different combination. Like they might see the hot sort of combination first, but then ultimately if they look at it again, they'll see the cooler side or the cooler colors sort of start to interact with what's going on. And I think that that's how we base it on. But I think it's also a lot of it's feeling. Like that's
For
how
sure.
at the start of a project, if there might not be some grand idea about what the color scheme could be, generally we'll sort of just create a feeling that we're trying to attain and go from there.
So the start of it does feel very intuitive and organic because we can feel sort of this different level of weight with what we're working with, but ultimately it does become very rigorously tested. We're constantly tweaking things. We're testing things in different light. We've shown before when we're making something that is physical, we'll decide the colors in our studio, but then when we go to the hardware store and we're choosing our colors there, we have our swatches and we're running inside, outside, testing things in different light.
We're
because
taking
we want
photos as well,
Exactly.
and just to see how these temperatures read in every single format. Because if we're not that detailed about it ourselves, we'll never sort of enrich the project and its underlying meaning and importance of color at the same time.
And in terms of quantities of color too, we learned something very recently about an architect that we really love, and they used 6 or more colors in their spaces. And we learned the reason why it's 6 or more is because by that point you can't quickly count the amount of color that is in that space. Instead, your mind perceives it as an array of color, but you can't say like there are 3 colors and they're covering this space. And so that's something that we're starting to take into consideration with our projects too. Choosing larger quantities of color makes it a little more difficult to distinguish how many colors we're actually using.
And we're also people that more is more, but more is generally better.
As we're wearing black and white.
Yeah. But I think that's it.
Those are all of our questions.
Thanks Design Milk for having us on Design Milk TV, and
amazing questions.
Yeah.
This was so much fun.
we're Wade and Lita. Bye.
Signing out.